It's Wolf, and it's a Waddle Forever video. This one is going to be a tutorial on how to do custom login screens. This is another one that I'm making because somebody asked about it on my How to Install Waddle Forever mods video over on YouTube. I had a question from SnowVR for how do I change the login screen to make them custom for parties. So for some reason, by the way, there's the timeline picker in Waddle Forever, but for some reason that doesn't change the login screens yet. It might just be a thing that the developers of Waddle Forever haven't added in yet. So I'm going to show you guys how to do login screen mods. So they work in a lot of ways the same as any other mod in Club Penguin. You're just going to replace a Swift file and get like the path to it and everything. The only thing with Waddle Forever with the login screens is they can be a little bit hard to find. So the easiest way that I've found to find them is to go into your Waddle Forever folder, search for login, and then they're going to be in this folder here with the edge icon, and it should be in the same order on your computer too if you're searching from the same place. But anyway, if you want to get there through like the actual folder, you would go to Waddle Forever, then Media, Default, S Legacy, Media, Play, V2, Content, Local, English, and then Login, Backgrounds, and then here are the Swifts that you're going to replace. So this is actually my second attempt recording this video because it got kind of complicated, but because the second part of this video I'm going to show you guys how to make completely custom login screens. But if you already have a Swift file from Club Penguin, whether it's like a holiday one login screen or whether it's from like a CPPS, like if it's a custom one like that, it's going to be the same process as it has been with any other mod, where you're going to start from play and then you're just going to follow the file path here all the way to the folder that these Swift files are in. So play and then V2, content, local, English or EN, login, backgrounds. And then the thing is, so you can probably change the like actual code somehow to make it so that way it just like does one login screen or whatever, but I'm not totally sure how to do that. So the easiest way to do this is to just put the login screen that you want 4 times and name it the same as the Swift files that are the default login screens. And this way, also, if you had 4 different login screens that you wanted to use, you could do that too. But these are all just the same one. So I just got the holiday party from, I think, 2010 from the Club Penguin Swift archives, part of the Club Penguin wiki, and put that in here 4 times under these names. And so now if I open up Waddle Forever and I put this in the mods folder, you guys will see that it works. So let me open Waddle Forever. And then, like I said, I'm going to show you guys how to make actual custom login screens, but it's a little bit of a more complicated process, so that's why I'm kind of going through this part pretty quick, because this is pretty much the same as the other types of mods that I've shown before. So, open mods, open the mods folder, and then I'm going to go to, this is my custom mods folder, so this is the folder for the mod right here. Drag that into there. I don't know why that is so big. I think my resolution got screwed up when I was plugging in my Elgato. So now that's in there, so we can exit out of these, refresh mods, and I can uncheck these. I don't know why those were still checked. I think I kind of broke something earlier. But yeah, if we do Holiday Party 2010 login, now when the game loads, we have the Holiday Party login screen. So that's how you can re-add different login screens from the game originally if you already have those Swift files. Now I'm going to show you guys how to make an actual custom login background screen. So this part of the video is where you're going to probably want to like buckle up and watch this more than once before you actually try it, because it gets pretty complicated. I'd say that this is arguably the most complicated type of mod that I've done so far, just because you kind of have to do workarounds if you're not using an actual version of Flash, which I don't have. I mean, I do have a version of Flash that's older, but I don't have it on this computer, so I'm showing how to do this with like free and open source software and stuff. So first thing you're going to want to do is actually draw your background. So in this video, I'm just going to be showing how to make like a flat background, but if you know how to make like Swift files and stuff, you could do like an animated background. Like as you guys saw with that holiday party one a second ago, the lights blinked and stuff, but for this one it's just going to be like a plain flat background. So the first thing is to just draw a picture. So for this I'm going to use Pinta, but you could use pretty much any sort of image editing software that is like a little bit better than Paint. Pinta is pretty much like a clone of Paint.net, but this one runs on multiple operating systems. I used to use Paint.net for pretty much everything, but then when I moved to mostly using macOS stuff, I started using Pinta. This is pretty much just a souped up version of Microsoft Paint, so you're not going to be able to do anything too crazy with it, but it's useful. But if you already have like Photoshop or some other photo editor, it should work fine. The first thing we need to do is resize the image to be the actual size of Club Penguin's rooms. So, or, well, the same size as the other login screens would be, and so that's the same size as most of the various, like, room sort of Swift files. So that's going to be 760 by 480. So this is the correct size now. Something to consider when you are making these login screens is that a big chunk of it is actually going to be cut off by the buttons to log in and like make a new account. I don't know exactly how high that is. I had tried to make a template for this to like help line it up if you want, but I couldn't quite get the template like the right size. So if I get that fixed, I'll post it to Blue Sky later, or like add it in at the end of this video or whatever. Either way, if I do that, I'll post it to Blue Sky so you guys can download it from my post on Blue Sky. But so just keep in mind that like a chunk of the bottom of this is going to get cut off. So if you have something that like you're specifically trying to draw, you're going to want to do it kind of in the top and left area, because there's also the what new icon, the treasure book icon thing over in this corner. So for this one though, I'm just going to make a really simple image. I'm just going to do a background that is kind of like an odd color for Club Penguin, and I'm going to go ahead and write just Wulf, and I'm going to go ahead and draw some squiggles too, so that way you guys can see like what part of this gets cut off. So now we have our custom background, or at least the basis of our custom background. So now we actually need to turn this into a GIF file or a GIF file, or at least that's the easiest way I figured out how to do this. So Pinta cannot do that itself, but depending on what image editing software you're using, it might be able to. But since Pinta does not, I'm going to show you guys a way to do this really easily, at least on Windows. So I'm just going to call this Wulf background. And for some reason with Pinta, at least on this computer, I have to add the like file ending manually. I don't know why. That might not be a thing on your Pinta. Mine might just be glitched, but that's why I'm doing that. So I've just saved this to the desktop, so that way it's easy to find. And here's our background. So now we want to make this into a GIF file, and there's various ways to do this, but the easiest one that I've found is to actually just open up Microsoft Paint and open your file that you've made, your background, just in Paint, and then you can save it in here as a GIF. So I'm just going to call this Wulf background GIF, and I know it'll be Wulf background GIF.gif, but whatever, that's fine. It'll say that transparency will be lost and color quality might dip a little bit, which it kind of does. So this way is not like perfect for transforming it into a GIF, but it works. It gets the point across. So now we have the GIF version of our background. You can see there's some weird, like, almost like dithering, I guess, or whatever, but it's fine. It doesn't look that bad, and there's other ways to transform stuff anyway. So, like I said, if you use a different image editing software, you might be able to just export it as a GIF in the first place. So, now we're going to use FFdeck, which is the free Flash decompiler. I've shown this in some other videos. By the way, if you guys want a video where I go over like a bunch of the tools to make Club Penguin mods, let me know, because I've been thinking about doing that. I've kind of just shown a lot of these tools without really explaining them. So this part is where it gets like really complicated, and I might have to like pause the video a handful of times to get this to work, because I confused myself. I've gotten this to work before, but it's a little bit complicated to make an actual original Flash file on here. So you're gonna start with a new file, and you're gonna leave it zlib. I have the settings for this written down, the ones that you're gonna want to use. Swift version is 9, frame rate 24, and then again 760 by 480 for the pixels. And I don't know if the ActionScript type really affects anything, but I'd say go for ActionScript 1 and 2, because that's like probably more of the type of stuff that most of Club Penguin was made with. So yeah, now we're in here. So now we need to put the GIF that we made into here. Now the reason why we used a GIF is because that is like the only file type or whatever that I could figure out how to get FFdeck to actually import. So there's a bit that we need to do here. First, we need to add a sprite, and and we can create sprite from GIF file. So go back to desktop and Wulf background gif.gif, and now we have this in here as a sprite. Now we need to figure out how to actually add this as an object, which is where it can get kind of weird. So this might take me a little bit, but hopefully I can get this correctly. So, okay, we're back to this part. I had screwed up a thing when I was trying to do this a second ago. So add tag after place object, and then we're gonna edit this to have the character ID, which is the same as the sprite, which is gonna be 1. And then now we have this object placed in frame 2 that is our background. It's so weird working with Flash sometimes because this is actually like a video creation software. Yeah, so anyway, now this is in here. So the thing is, if we run it, it does appear to be working, but I think we can get rid of this frame. And then now we only have the 1 frame. So far, this is everything that I need to happen. I was having the worst time trying to get this to work earlier. So everything seems correct so far. So now we're going to save this SWF. And I'm just going to save this to the desktop again to keep it easily accessible. And I'm going to call this Wulf background SWF and save that. And now when I open this up, there we go. It works. I had the worst time with this earlier, guys. You'll not believe how happy I am that this is working on the first try. So now we have our custom background made. So now all we need to do is just make another mod that will add this into the game. And we can exit out of FFdeck before something goes wrong. So we need to do some file pathing again. So you're going to want just the same file path as I showed earlier. So I'm going to probably cut and speed up through this because I already kind of showed this earlier. But yeah, so I'm going to name this just Wulf background. And now I got to remember which file path it is. Hang on. There we go. Yeah, although... So actually, this brings up another important thing. When you are searching in Waddle Forever, when you find this, you're actually going to want to do open folder locations so that way you can see the full path. If you just click on it, it won't show you the full path. So Wulf background, and let me go ahead and get this all mapped out real quick. So now we have this all set up with the right file path. I'm going to move this here, and I'm going to copy and paste this 4 times just to use all 4 of these slots, so that way this is the only one that shows up. So we're going to rename these to the same as these, and that should be it. Our mod should be good to go. So let's open Waddle Forever back up and test this out. Open the mods folder. I can exit out of here and put Wulf background into the mods folder. Now when we refresh our mods, Wulf background will be there. The game should reset itself, and there we go. There's the custom background. It doesn't look so great close up, but you guys get the point, I hope, in how all this works. And like I said, so you can see that a pretty good chunk of it got cut off by this actual menu down here, because this is a separate SWF file or something. I don't actually entirely know where this is stored, but there's probably ways to edit this as well. But yeah, that's how you make a custom background or re-add a background that's already in the game. Now, that being said, the whole thing I was saying earlier with the timeline feature, I couldn't figure out how this actually works, like where all this stuff is stored, because I figure it's probably just in another spot like your mods or whatever. But yeah, hopefully I have a feeling that the developers will probably remedy that in the future, where they'll add the custom party login backgrounds back into the game. Anyway, that's it for the video. I'm going to stop the video before I break anything, because this video took me way longer to figure out than I thought it would. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know if you have any more questions or things that you'd like me to try to figure out how to do and make a tutorial on for Waddle Forever. See you in other stuff in the future, and bye-bye.